The capsule story of this, the sort of the 15-second recap is Real Madrid with a half-fit Benzema go to the Bernabeu, and Carlo Ancelotti, who is Italian, as you may have noticed, decides to go and says, all right, let's do some damage limitation here because Benzema's not fit. Let's defend. The plan almost works, although they get battered. Paris Saint Germain create a whole bunch of chances. They miss a penalty with Lionel Messi. And then at the end, they get punished, which is right and fair, because if you don't go and you don't try, then God punishes you by unleashing the fury of Mbappe. Is that fair?
Well, Carlo Ancelotti would say no, and he was asked almost this exact question post-game.
Even the God bit? Even the fact
bit?
that it's divine, even the fact that it's divine retribution.
Well, I mean, Ancelotti, I don't know about Ancelotti's religious and spiritual beliefs, but I know about his footballing beliefs, which are always pragmatic, and I don't think they are especially defensive. But in terms of this particular game, he was asked this exact question about the approach from Real Madrid, whether they were too defensive, whether they ceded too much territory and possession, too much of the ball to Paris Saint Germain, and that whether they had effectively gone there to just try and defend and eventually got caught for it. His answer, in a way, opens another question, which is this actually worse? Because his answer was no. It wasn't that we planned to do this. It was that we were unable to do anything else. He said we couldn't bring the ball out. We gave the ball away too easily. We couldn't overcome their pressure. They had too much of the possession and we didn't play well. But it wasn't because we had planned it this way as a defensive approach, which I suppose is borne out, by the way, in the starting 11. Because he went 4-3-3 when we wondered whether he might put an extra midfielder in, whether he might play Fede Valverde nominally in the front three, but actually moving into midfield to try and protect that side of the pitch where, of course, Mbappe ran into Carvajal time and time again. And so, as I say, that asks another question, which is this more worrying? Not so much that Madrid planned to do this, but that they were actually incapable of playing any other way.
Well, with that in mind, Don, should we maybe give a little bit of credit to the sometimes maligned Paris Saint Germain midfield, where none of those guys are named Kylian or Lionel.
Yeah.
But I thought on this day, they went out and they took the game to Real Madrid, and you can make the point that yeah, sure, there was a threat and so on, and Benzema wasn't fit, but they worked their rear ends off, and they stood up to Kroos and Modric can keep the ball all day long, generally, if they want to. They weren't able to in this game.
No, I thought Paredes played really well. Danilo got around the place. Verratti was the star of the show because we know how silky and how good he is and technically outstanding. I just thought, when I seen the teams come in, you look at the Real Madrid team on paper and you think, strong midfield. And I was watching Karim Benzema and he was trying to ease himself into the game because he wasn't 100% fit. And I was watching Luka Modric and they were all passing a little bit sideways. They were a little bit afraid to either turn PSG around and hit a channel ball because they were afraid of maybe Benzema's hamstring going. So they tried to eke him into the game and work balls into his feet where he got a bit of self-confidence. But it was the left-hand side of PSG that done the damage. And I felt for Carvajal because the player that was in front of him in the midfield that was meant to double up and help him was Luka Modric. Now, he cannot, and he will not in 100 million years try and get anywhere near Kylian Mbappe. And it was one of them games where you're watching it and you're thinking, if only 10 years ago, if only Isco had been fit and sharper, if only Bale, if only Eden Hazard from 5 years ago had been fitter, they might have been an option, but not on current form. If Ancelotti's looking to the bench, he's thinking, nope.
On the Paris Saint Germain end, obviously, this is a story dominates everybody, and we're about the hype and the big stars. So, quickly on Lionel Messi's penalty, it did not look like a good penalty. Courtois had saved one before, I believe, in the Spanish Super Cup. Was it like 2013 or something? See how good I am? No, I just heard the guy say it in commentary. I'm like, oh, I'll repeat it to appear clever. Were you surprised? You've seen. I'm assuming you've probably seen Messi take more than 100 penalties. He's not infallible. But what was he trying to do there?
To answer the question, were you surprised? No. In fact, I was sitting in the stadium and said to the person sitting next to me, he misses this. And now it's easy to be a smart ass and say that. And then
because you don't tell us about the other 99 times that you say that.
Exactly that. It's very easy to say that. And then if he does score, just keep your mouth shut. I go, oh, well, there you go then. But I think there is a combination of things. One is that for a man who is exceptionally good at just about everything else, it's remarkable how, I wouldn't say how bad, but how normal Messi is from the penalty spot. Number two, the performance of Courtois over the last 18 months has been consistently brilliant. And it was again in this game. The save that he makes from Mbappe low down to his right, for example, is a brilliant save. And sitting there in the stands, and I realise that this is impressionistic, but he just looks huge. It just looks too big. He's bigger than the goal.
It's those like spider arms and legs.
Yeah.
I think his parents were volleyball players, and like he was built for that.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.